Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our June 28th Town Council meeting. Madam Clerk, you could...
This is to inform the general public that this meeting is being held in compliance with Section 5 of the Open Public Meetings Act, Chapter 231, Public Law 1975. The annual notice was emailed to the Star Ledger and filed in the Township Clerk's office on November 24th, 2021, and published in the West Orange Chronicle on December 2nd, 2021. Councilwoman Castellino?
Present.
Councilwoman Matute Brown?
Present.
Councilman Rutherford?
There she
Here.
is.
Councilwoman Williams?
Present.
Council President McCartney?
Present. So first on our agenda this evening, on our conference agenda, is a recognition of firefighter Anthony Williams, the EMT of the year. Chief, there you go.
Council President, council members, thanks for having us and thanks for recognizing firefighter Williams tonight. Just to give you a little background on why he received this award. So Mountainside Medical Center is one of the few local hospitals where we transport patients regularly, and they tend to be very kind to their EMTs that come in. They have a nice little area with refreshments, obviously they're trying to bring people into their hospital too, so they want us to go there. And a few months back, they started leading up to EMS Week, they started a program to nominate for EMT of the Year. It was a peer nomination. People voted, like the other EMT crews all came in and voted for their own people. And lo and behold, Anthony Williams received peer recognition and was honored by the hospital at an award ceremony that they had as for EMT of the Year. It was a beautiful ceremony. It was at the Glen Ridge Country Club, and a lot of us came out and celebrated a little bit. It's free food, so we're firemen. Tends to be, that goes together. So, so thank you for recognizing him today. I know you have a proclamation, so that... There you go.
So thank you for the intro. Thank you, Anthony. So the council was invited to the Glen Ridge for the recognition of Anthony Williams, and it conflicted with our Haitian flag raising ceremony, so that was going on in Town Hall. So we were unfortunately not able to attend, and I just like when the police at our last meeting, they had their recognition at the church in Newark, but I wanted to do something local. So the fact that we were not able to attend that ceremony, thank you for being here. And Fire Chief Vecchio just mentioned that this is a nomination of your peers. And of the 30 nominations received, I have to read this part, Anthony was chosen a recipient of the award by his peers who shared the following sentiments. Always a breath of fresh air and a pure joy to be around. Strong leadership, skill set due to his training as a Navy veteran. Strong EMS skill sets, ability to adapt and work under stressful calls and situations. And he told me today was a busy day. Anthony's bedside manner put us all to shame. Dedicated to improving EMT knowledge and skills throughout the department. Highly motivated to help anyone in need. Anthony is always being fought over when picking partners, and always caring for not only his patients, but for his team members. So we are very proud and honored to recognize Anthony Williams of the West Orange Fire Department for being selected as the EMT of the Year 2022, and we wish him continued success. Anthony.
Congratulations. And thank you for your service.
As a Navy vet as well.
Thank you, yeah.
Hi.
That's what I said.
I also wanted to recognize the girls softball champions, U8. You know, here I thought school was out and they wouldn't be available. I understand the day after school was out, they already had game, they already had practice. So I'm hoping within the our next council meeting, hopefully we can get them together.
It's great.
What's next? Our council liaison?
Yeah. It's 2 minutes
Oh,
fast.
yeah. Okay. So we have time for council liaison announcements.
Okay.
All right. Are we doing it? We're in reverse this
Councilwoman could go
time.
first.
Okay.
Hi, West Orange. Thank you, Council President, for the opportunity to share. So for liaison announcements for today, the Historic Preservation Commission meeting scheduled for July 13th has been canceled for this month. No rent leveling board meeting for the month of July, and we do not have an Economic Development Commission meeting scheduled for the month of July either. Juneteenth committee that was chaired by Talia Young of Space to Create Community Development Corporation, and with various partners throughout the town, held a tremendous and exciting and wonderful and historic Juneteenth. I'd like to thank the Township of West Orange, of course, our administration. Would like to certainly thank Rock Spring, Department of Public Works, the West Orange Police Department, the Fire Department, the CERT Department, Luna Stage, the West Orange Public Library, and the West Orange Arts Council, indeed, for all coming together for that historic celebration in West Orange, and again, culminating on Friday the 17th with fireworks at Rock Spring. It was just such a wonderful family-oriented event, so many different activities that created an opportunity for so many different residents in the community just to engage and come out and enjoy. We're looking forward to continuing the celebrations for the 4th of July. I'm sure we'll have more about that as the meeting continues. But that's all I have for today.
Excellent. And thank you for the work on Juneteenth. Councilman?
Thank you, Council President. All of our pedestrian safety and open space rec meetings were canceled last month. This month, they are both on the same night, Wednesday, July 13th, so hope to see you guys there. And also wanted to alert us to another meeting on the 20th. There are two meetings that night, but West Orange Animal Welfare League meeting is on the 20th. I've gotten some calls about some of the issues with regard to animals in town. So for those that are interested, that is your night. Please come on out, West Orange Animal Welfare League on July 20th. Thank you, Council President.
Thank you. Councilwoman Castellino?
Thank you, and again, congratulations to Anthony Williams. I've known you since so many years now, and it's just so much pride to see our firefighters, our police officers, just come from our public school system, our township, and to serve our community, and it just makes it even extra special, and we appreciate all that you do for us. Downtown Thursdays kicked off last week, and boy, it was a great time had by all down in the valley. We really want to reach out and thank our residents and the business owners that were closed off by our two-block block party. They were very generous in letting us use that space for a few hours, and just the residents had a ball. How Delish was there on hand, Valley Dental, Glassman Cleaners, a new Caribbean restaurant, Le Quai restaurant right in the valley, great food. Our West Orange Public Library was on hand. Jane was awesome with the kids in the neighborhood. West Orange Arts Council was there for us with their chalk art in the street. It was just a great way to kick off the summer. And a lot of fun held by all. So we hope you could frequent these businesses. Benji's Tacos, too, was on hand with their food truck. And we're just trying to bring attention to some of the local businesses that, it's been a struggle for them with the pandemic and moving forward. So we want to give attention to each of these four corners of our Main Street. Next one is July 14th at St. Mark's section, which is on the corner of Northfield Avenue and Main Street. You could park behind Supreme Bakery in the lot there, and we're going to have our ice sculpture. Some of you saw him create a dragon at the street fair, so he'll have a new artwork for us. They'll be dancing with your favorite characters. And then you could order food from the local restaurants that are right there at St. Mark's. And we'll have tables out and chairs for you to eat. It's a safe event. We'll have blockades by the street, so if you have small children, you don't have to worry about that. That was a concern last year that Ms. Brill is addressing this year. So, yeah, come on down. And again, none of this happens without our Public Works Department on hand to help us assist and lug everything around. So we thank them so much. West Orange Community Band will be performing July 12th at Clipper Pavilion and Essex South Mountain Reservation, near where we're in the park there. And so we look forward to that at 7 p.m. Councilwoman mentioned 4th of July. I'm not sure Mr. Fagan's going to elaborate on all the festivities with the food truck, but a great day. So if you're not at the beach, come celebrate with us at Independence Day at West Orange High School. And also, if you see online, there is the Recreation Department is looking for you to vote for your favorite movie. We're having an old-fashioned drive-in movie night at West Orange High School on Saturday, July 16th. And the movie hasn't been picked yet because we want the community to pick the film. So go, if you see it on Facebook or the Recreation's website, please go online and vote. You know, just a great time. So a lot of great activities, a lot of great things are going on. Also excitement for Downtown Thursdays. And I got to thank the West Orange Public Relations Commission again. They're out and about helping us with Downtown Thursdays, getting the word out. If you haven't downloaded the Downtown West Orange app, please do so. All our great events and information is on there. And more importantly, information about all our businesses. We're excited that Downtown Alliance, there's about 14 new businesses that are coming to Main Street. We just had an expansion at the corner of Eagle Rock Avenue and Main Street with the liquor lobby. And that's part of example of some of the work that the Downtown Alliance does. The design team worked with the store owner and helped design the new signage for there. So again, we try to work with our businesses wherever possible. Llewellyn Park and Grill will be taking over the Brown Bear spot. Again, I mentioned this Caribbean restaurant in the Valley, LaCay. Wonderful gentleman, Gregory. You know, so just go out and support, and we'll get some information down. And I believe Ms. Brill said there's less than 4% vacancies on Main Street. So we're really excited about that and all the new businesses coming. And we'll have an update next month. So that's it. Thank everyone for their hard work, and great kickoff to the summer, Council President.
Excellent. Lots of good news. Councilwoman Matute Brown is out of town, but she is present.
Thank you, Council President. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I just had to mute my laptop as I opened this mic. I am unfortunately not able to be in person because of work responsibilities that I have in Chicago. However, I did make time to obviously join you now that we have this new opportunity to make sure that we're all present all of the time. Council President, I do not have any updates for my liaisons as the task force, the cannabis task force hasn't met, but it is a matter of discussion for us at some point soon because there is a request from the administration that I have to discuss with the task force. So hopefully before our next council meeting, I'll be able to update you on that. But that's it for me, Council President. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and safe travels. So I have my own council liaison announcements with the West Orange Arts Council. There's a very interesting workshop coming up called the Neurographic Art. Very free expression. I had to Google it to find out what that actually meant, and it just looks very colorful and creative. So I ask everyone to visit woarts.org to find out the dates of the upcoming workshops and the exhibits. And as Councilwoman Williams mentioned, for Juneteenth, there were excellent exhibits there and film viewing at Luna Stage. and we were very happy to participate. West Orange Environmental Commission is supposed to meet tomorrow night, but we did cancel that meeting because the two grants that we just announced last meeting, they are in collaboration with the West Orange Board of Education, and the students are out, school's out for summer. So we are putting those projects on hold. One was with the New Jersey American Water, and the other is with Sustainable Jersey. And both projects, like I said, are in collaboration with Board of Ed. Though I did receive 5 proposals from the science class at Roosevelt Middle School that they're asking the Environmental Commission to weigh in on. So I did write notes back to the students, thanking them for their interest and their participation. The West Orange Women's Club Senior Citizen Committee met last night, and I'm glad Joe Fagan is here because I didn't get a chance to talk to him today. Joe, they would like to put together a trivia night with Joe Fagan. That's what they want to call it, and I just think that would be great for the seniors and a lot of fun. So I'm glad. Thank you. Thank you. And the planning board will meet July 6th at 7:30. The meeting is on Zoom. There are 2 applications we will be reviewing: medical office space at 993 Pleasant Valley Way and upgrading the retaining wall and parking at Washington Street School. That information would be on the township website, westorange.org, if you would like to tune into that Zoom meeting.
Before we
Yes.
close out,
Councilwoman Williams.
Council President, I just wanted to remind the public, Lynette Sheard is putting together a free event for BIPOC, which is the Black Indigenous People of Color. It's called A Message of Hope and Celebration. It's an outdoor, family-friendly, live music, poetry, dance, art, and education event designed to be a creative expression of celebration, vibrancy, courage, hope, and resilience. And this happens because BIPOC is recognizing in July Mental Health Month. So we do and are looking forward. That event is on July 31st at OSPAC from 12 to 3 p.m. And if you're interested in being a vendor or participating in any way, please do not hesitate to reach out to Lynette Sheard or Pleasant Valley Productions at OSPAC. Thank you.
Thank you.
Council
I believe
President?
they were rained out last year,
I think
right?
so.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mhm. Councilman Rutherford.
Just one announcement, not a liaison announcement. Last week, West Orange High School seniors graduated.
Yes. Thank
It
you.
was the first that I was able to attend of my 2 daughters in person. My oldest daughter graduated during COVID. And I just wanted to congratulate all the graduating seniors from West Orange High School, especially Malia Page Rutherford and her crew. And for those of you that have not yet seen it, you should pay attention. The schools that these kids young adults are going to are outstanding. They all have just done a phenomenal job, and so I'm really looking forward to, as they come back home and continue to invest in West Orange. All right, so congrats, class of
you.
2022.
Bill, thank you for that. Thank you, really. And if anyone saw the TAP article, if you were not able to go, it really, when the choir sang, they came down one by one and they sang pieces of Don Quixote. It really brought me to tears. So thank 525 graduates. It looked like really a community of students. It was a beautiful ceremony.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
That's 2 minutes. I guess
Pending
the
matters?
other announcement is June is home ownership month. So it's always a great time to do outdoor projects, outdoor improvements, and then, West Orange, be mindful and reminded that we have this wonderful tax deferment programs for home improvements. So anything that you want to do, this is a great time to do it, and then take advantage of the tax incentives that are available to you.
If we have time for one more announcement.
Go right ahead.
Save the date, everybody. Monday, August 29th at Rock Spring Golf Club, the C.J. Morgan Foundation Annual Golf Outing and Brunch. So please save the date, and you can reach out for additional information to the C.J. Morgan Foundation at cjmorganfoundation@gmail.com.
We're going to pull out our calendars.
August 29th, correct.
All right, excellent. Thank you. All right,
Excellent.
I think we're
Madam Clerk?
6:58.
All right, I got, there's two other OSPAC events going on in July. I didn't realize Councilwoman was going to be away. I didn't want to steal her thunder. So July 8th, Jelani Williams, one of our West Orange own, he has performed on Broadway, The Lion King, and other productions, and he is doing a hometown concert for us on July 8th, which is exciting. And then Pleasant Valley Productions will be performing Matilda, the play, for 2 weekends, which is very exciting and very entertaining. So go on their website or just, look up on the West Orange Downtown Mobile app, and you'll be able to find all the information and the times for all of the shows. Thank you, Council President.
And the app is amazing. There's so much information, and it keeps changing.
And just, I just want to let folks know, it is changing. So when you go on, you may have to, we've been uploading a lot of the township information. The Recreation Department is in the middle of a whole upload. I spoke to the Health Department. So a lot of things will be changing on the app to perfect it. And that's going to take about a month or so. So just every time you go on, it may say, okay, it's not a mistake. Just reload and update it, because through the summer months, we're going to be updating this till we get it right. It was great when we're out there at the street fair and at these community downtown events. Just getting feedback from the residents of what you want to see on the app and how you want to see it has been so helpful. And we're able to get the information right at your fingertips. And someone could sometimes be a little technically challenged, which I will admit, it's really easy to navigate. So we hope you utilize it, but just be patient with us, because it's going to take a good month or so to really perfect it. Thank you.
Great. Madam Clerk?
This is to inform the general public that this meeting is being held in compliance with Section 5 of the Open Public Meetings Act, Chapter 231, Public Law 1975. The annual notice was emailed to the Star Ledger and filed in the Township Clerk's office on November 24th, 2021, and published in the West Orange Chronicle on December 2nd, 2021. Councilwoman Castellino?
Present.
Councilwoman Matute Brown?
Present.
Councilman Rutherford?
Here.
Councilwoman Williams?
Present.
Council President McCartney?
Present.
Will everyone please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The council is now in their public meeting.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. We're going to start with public comment.
Council President?
Yes, sir.
If I may, at our last meeting, as you recall, was the first meeting where we were able to do a hybrid transmission of our meetings. It was a work in progress. Obviously, there were some technological issues that the transmission quality was didn't meet our standards. We've worked very hard, and we've not only with our staff, probably over 100 hours since then, as well as bringing in some technical professionals from the outside. For this evening, we believe that the transmission quality is going to be much improved, and obviously that remains to be seen. But one of the things we had to forego for this evening is comment back and forth. We weren't able to establish a two-way audio for this evening and maintain the quality. So we've not given up on that idea. We have those individuals that we hired to come in to help us last week to come in this week and to get that issue resolved. We think that we should be able to do that. Unfortunately, we looked at, just to give you an example of what we experienced, we got to a point where we would have everything set up and we were able to speak back and people could hear what was going on, but we could not hear them. And then 15 minutes later, that reversed. The only problem was that no one touched anything. So it's software. There are some reports of Windows updates that have had some impact on some features or some things within Zoom. So it was suggested that may be an issue. We certainly don't know that that's an issue. But we are still continuing to solve that and look forward for the next meeting to be able to report back to you that we'll have high quality two-way communication. But for this evening, we only have one way.
So, Mr. Gross, that would pertain to any of my council colleagues responding to residents that are asking or making
Everyone
comments
can
at public
hear.
comment.
We have a single stream as we had of video, so the video quality should be really good. The audio, we believe, in our testing, was much improved over what it was at the last meeting. However, we will not be able to accept any questions from the audience this evening.
Are we able-
From the outside.
Are we able to capture them in chat and then have them relate to us?
We do not have that capability tonight.
Okay.
So people that are listening, if you would like to submit your questions, you can still email them to us at council, council, council@westorange.org. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Gross. And I know you've spent days and hours on this. Mr. Fagan, welcome.
Good evening, Madam President, council colleagues, members of the administration, and all those here in council chambers and those on the call tonight. I'm Joe Fagan, Public Information Officer, and thank you for the opportunity to address the West Orange public this evening. On the screen is my contact information. If anyone has any questions about anything seen here this evening or anything else, please do not hesitate to contact me. I will show this slide again with my contact information at the end of my report. Tonight, I would like to draw attention to several window stickers that our West Orange Police Department is placing on display in West Orange businesses throughout the town. I want to inform our residents that these stickers represent a safe public place thanks to cooperation with the business owner. Some of these are not new programs. Take Me Home is a registration tracking program that helps law enforcement locate seniors, special need children, and others who are at high risk of wandering off. This program, as you may know, is strictly volunteer and not limited by age or disability. The second one is the West Orange Police Mental Health collaboration with Morris Mental Health Associate of Essex and Morris and the West Orange Police Department. This has been a very successful program and has led to opportunities for success in managing mental health awareness and community-related calls. I would say that the newest one, perhaps, is the LGBTQ Safe Place, and that is recognizable by the West Orange Police logo with the rainbow border. The mission of the West Orange Police Department Safe Place Initiative is to provide the LGBTQ community with easily accessible safety information and safe places throughout the township they can turn to if they are victims of a crime. Anyone who seeks a safe place location can be assured that if they are a victim of crime, police will be promptly called. In addition to the 9/11 police response to these incidents, West Orange Police Department has an LGBTQ liaison officer, Karen Mango Roach. I'm sure many of you may already know her. Officer Karen Mango Roach is seen here, and you can see to the left a closer look at the window decal. Unfortunately, there's a terrible reflection when picture is taken. Here's La Celeste Bakery downtown. There's Karen Mango Roach with Marta from La Celeste Bakery. and you can see the stickers there in the window. And here's a better look at the sticker. This is what you look for, or what an individual should look for. And here she's just being a little playful. That's at Willow and Olivia, and of course at the Light Bulb Cafe. An important matter concerning West Orange residents is a 280 road closure of 4 ramps that began June 24th. This was because of damage to a drainage storm pipe caused during Tropical Storm Ida in September 21. It created a sinkhole, and that has forced DOT to close the shoulder. I'm sure you've seen the activity. Now they need to close off the entrance ramp for exit 7. If you attempt to enter Pleasant Valley Way at that location, there will be a detour route. Force of habit may take you there even though you know it's closed. You're better off using alternate access to I-280 eastbound. I have them listed here. Of course, most West Orange residents are familiar with them: Laurel Avenue, Prospect Avenue, Mount Pleasant Avenue via Brennan Drive, and Northfield Avenue via Winningham Place. As was mentioned, July 4th is approaching. It's hard to believe. Seems like summer just started. There will be no regular trash pickup or recycling pickup. The next one will be Thursday, July 7th for trash and bulk trash. Next recycling pickup will be the following Monday on July 11th, and there will be no regular jitney service. And of course, this information is available on our website at westorange.org. As was mentioned, the reason why we're closed is because everyone's going to be at the 4th of July celebration at West Orange High School, 51 Conforti Avenue. And there are a whole host of activities beginning at 1 o'clock. There's going to be food trucks. There's going to be Kids Zone beginning at 2 o'clock, and also DJ and other activities. And there's a list of the food trucks here. And of course, the fireworks will begin at dusk. Also worth mentioning is the motor vehicle is coming to West Orange. We did this last year. This year they'll be at O'Connor Park, Ralph Road. Registration is required. They will be there July 18th. Space is limited. They'll be there from 10 to 2. And once again, this information is on our website. If you're not picking it up here, you can find it on our website. I'd like to give quick mention to the young lady in the center of the photo is Darielle Egan. She had written a letter to Chief Abbott with suggestions about how to better fight crime in West Orange. And Chief Abbott invited her to come and tour the police building, and that was done by Herbie Grandos to the right and Frank Romeo to the left with her mother and grandmother. And then, of course, at the end of the tour, they were brought into Chief Abbott's office, and he was able to give her a certificate of appreciation. And this wasn't, Darielle asked, I was there for the entire tour. It lasted over an hour and a half, and Darielle really asked some hard-hitting questions. It wasn't at all soft questions. It was some hard-hitting questions, and both officers were able to answer it in a very professional manner. Of course, on June 16th, we had our first Juneteenth flag raising right here on the steps of Town Hall. This is a new national holiday that has long been ignored, and we're grateful to have it here in West Orange. It was well attended. You can see the kids had a good time. Mr. Jeffries from, I believe, the Orange NAACP chapter was here. He was the keynote speaker, and David Jones, also seen here, was the MC of the event. It was a great event. And as Councilwoman Castellino had mentioned, the Downtown Thursdays was on June 23rd in the Valley. And the only reason I'm not in this picture doing hopscotch is because I had to take the picture. Otherwise, I would have been joining the children playing hopscotch. And you can see Councilwoman Castellino in the upper right-hand corner promoting the mobile app. Our next Downtown Thursday event is July 14th at St. Mark's. And of course, we have one July 28th and August 11th scheduled. At the last council meeting, I mentioned the 85th birthday. Well, today I have a 138th birthday to announce. And you might be saying, well, who could be 138 years old? Well, the answer to that is our West Orange Police Department turns 138 years ago today. On June 28, 1884, the department was officially organized with John Otterbein as the acting chief of police. He never became police chief. It was actually the gentleman seen on the right, William Bamford. He became the first police chief of West Orange. And current Chief Abbott is only the 9th chief of police in West Orange since 1884. So that concludes my report for this evening, Council President. I probably spoke too long. Thank you for indulging me. And this is my contact information. Once again, if anyone has any questions about anything here or anything else in general, please do not hesitate to contact or call me. And as I mentioned, that concludes my public comment, but now the public, any member of the public wishing to address the town council may come up to the podium and do so. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Joe. And thank you to the police department also for working to create this sense of belonging for our residents in the community with the window stickers. Thank you for that. Any other questions or comments? Public comment? Yes. Good evening.
Good evening. Claire Silvestri, 20 Grandview Avenue. I'd like to speak about Ordinance 2689-22, the bond ordinance appropriating nearly $10.5 million for various 2022 capital improvements in town, which is on the agenda tonight on first reading. I want to thank Mr. Gross for getting this bond ordinance to the council for consideration much earlier than last year. The 2021 capital bond ordinance wasn't introduced and approved by the council until October 2021. Last October, Mr. Gross provided a very nice 20-minute PowerPoint presentation on the capital budget, which is currently on the township website. The problem I have is that that PowerPoint presentation wasn't made at the October 12th meeting when the ordinance was first introduced. It was made 2 hours and 17 minutes into a 4.5-hour meeting on October 26th, immediately preceding the council vote to approve on second reading. I don't recall if Mr. Gross made it available to the residents prior to the meeting on the finance page of the township website, but regardless, residents had little opportunity to read and digest the information in the budget presentation prior to the public comment segment right before the council vote. I hope council members were privy to the contents of that PowerPoint prior to the meeting, but frankly, all the effort Mr. Gross's office put into that presentation did little good in giving residents the details they needed to ask informed questions and provide their input to council members before you authorize such a substantial expenditure on our behalf. Council President, I recall that during one of your previous tenures in this office, you agreed with me at a meeting that the council should not treat the required first reading of an ordinance as a pro forma, but rather, in cases of important legislation, take it as an opportunity to provide detailed information to the residents so that they have time to digest the information, perhaps do some more research on their own, and communicate their perspective and questions to council members either before the meeting or at public comment. So I strongly urge you, Council President, to table this ordinance until the next meeting, at which time you require Mr. Gross to provide the capital budget presentation during first reading so residents can better weigh in on the proposed expenditures. However, based on the limited details on the proposed expenditures that appear in tonight's ordinance, I do have a few questions. First, the 2021 capital budget allocated $2 million to something called outdoor facility improvements, which were detailed as various facade and interior facility improvements to township-owned properties, including but not limited to 10 Rooney Circle, Township Firehouses, and Rock Spring Country Club, golf club. In the 2022 capital budget, there's a $2.1 million allocated to various interior facility improvements, including but not limited to, the Communication Center, Rock Spring Golf Club, 10 Rooney Circle, and the firehouses. Could Mr. Gross please tell us what facility improvements were made to 10 Rooney Circle, the firehouses, and Rock Spring Golf Club in 2021, and what the proposed improvements are for those facilities in 2022? Also in 2021, among $6.4 million allocated for street, sidewalks, and sewer improvements, there's a mention of installation of shade trees throughout the township. Under a similar heading in the 2022 ordinance, there's a mention of the acquisition and installation of shade trees. Could you please tell us how much was actually spent on shade trees in 2021 and what's budgeted for 2022? And finally, I recall that the 2021 capital budget was a rather substantial $15 million. Would Mr. Gross know offhand what the town's capital budgets have been in each of the last 5 years? And also, is it true that the $4.3 million bond ordinance for O'Connor Park's turf field, Ordinance 2690-22, is an additional cost outside of the 2022 capital budget? And why exactly is that? Shouldn't it be part of the capital budget? I look forward to answers to my questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions? Yes, sir. Oh, Joe, I did see. Okay. Took it out.
Good evening, Madam President and members of the council. Ron Charles, 25 Colonial Woods Drive, West Orange. Prior to COVID, the mayor and administration created a citizens capital project program, for lack of a better word. What it was, for those who are unaware, it was citizens were asked to develop, design capital projects that they felt would benefit the township. The top 3 or 4, after submitting those proposals to a committee, would be put on a ballot, and the township will vote on election day which one they wanted the administration to move forward with and to build. At that time, I submitted and developed and designed an all-inclusive playground for special needs children. And the vision at that time was so that we would have a place where children with special needs had a playground to play with special elements, and that children, brothers and sisters who didn't have the special needs, could play along with them, right? Those are some of the things that we're doing on the county level in both the Union and Essex. It made it to the ballot in November, and by a supermajority, it won to be built. After the election, I worked with the administration, Director Keogh, in developing the plans for the playground itself. One of the things I thought was important was the feedback that we would get from parents and family of special needs parents. So we hosted a town hall meeting at the rec center, and some of the feedback that we got was very, very valuable. One of the things that came from that was that parents and family of children who have autism, who are on the spectrum, felt that a fence was needed because children who have autism or on the spectrum at times just take off and dart. And for those who are in the school or paraprofessionals who are teachers, know that is an issue. So tonight, the playground is built. The playground has some very, very cool elements. It's at O'Connor Park. I hope in the fall we can have a ribbon cutting. COVID kind of dampened that. But tonight, I'm advocating here tonight for funds either in the closing capital or the going forward capital if it's approved for the fence. And if it's not available, or there are some parents and I felt that we would raise the money for that, but we felt that we would come and ask the administration and the council ahead of time. So that's my question. That's my comments. I like to thank you, whoever fixed the flag. Thank you. So thank you very much. That's all.
Thank you, Ron.
Good evening. Joe Krakowiak, Grandview Avenue. There are two bond ordinances to borrow nearly $14 million for capital improvements on the agenda for first reading tonight. And there's not much detail in the ordinances, so I needed to ask some questions. The Rock Spring is mentioned in two categories. What specifically are you planning for Rock Spring, and how much is it going to cost? What exactly is interior pool lighting? How many jitney buses do you want to buy? Ordinance 2690 for $4.3 million borrowed is to replace the artificial turf field and lighting and put in lighting at O'Connor Park. How much is this going to cost? And is there anything else covered by the ordinance? Ordinance 2691, nearly $5 million for joint meeting flood mitigation. We certainly have to do that. Proposing more than $14 million in capital expenditures this year, which thankfully is down from the nearly $18 million capital budget last year until you add back the joint meeting borrowing. So I ask, the 2021 annual debt statement said the town hadn't borrowed any of that $18 million by the end of last year. Have you borrowed any of it yet? If not, why are you proposing to borrow even more this year? And before you approve these ordinances, as according to my memory, the council majority has approved every bonding ordinance requested by the mayor during his nearly 12 years in office. I want to try to put things in perspective. The council voted to borrow nearly $43 million last year. That's the equivalent of adding nearly 38% of total debt in a single year. Much of this took place as inflation and rising interest rates, strong indicators of increasing costs to pay back the debt, became a growing concern nationally and in West Orange. Since 2019, the council has voted to approve borrowing that's raised our issued and authorized debt an amazing 78% by nearly $62 million. This debt has risen in that time to $142 million. And these numbers take into account the repayment of principal and the payment of interest that we've made in this time. This is simply breathtaking, especially in the middle of runaway inflation and rapidly rising interest rates. This borrowing binge has consequences for every resident who owns property or pays rent. Since 2019, debt service has risen nearly 24%, or $1.63 million, to $8.74 million proposed in the 2022 municipal budget. And debt service is almost certainly going to rise even more significantly. At the end of 2021, we reported nearly $59 million in bond anticipation notes, which are one-year IOUs that have to be repriced at market interest rates every 12 months. We have another $30 million authorized but not yet issued at the start of this year. Interest rates have roughly doubled so far this year, and the Federal Reserve indicates it's just getting started. You can do the math. One more fact. According to the County Tax Board, which sets our taxes, our tax base has declined in 8 of the last 10 years. It's similar to when an individual property declines in market value, buyers are saying it's not as attractive of an investment. That downward pressure on values potentially impacts every property owner. Even if their values rise, they probably don't rise as much as they could have. So I ask, what are you on the council going to do about this? The mayor isn't pausing this borrowing binge, but since the legal and fiduciary responsibility lies with each of you on the council, not the mayor, when exactly are you going to say enough is enough? Finally, Resolution 170 declines to award a contract for jitney drivers because of the cost. You say both bid and bids, singular and plural, in different parts of this resolution. So which is it? What are you going to do differently to get better bidding the next time? What about the note posted on the township website dated June 2nd? Quote, however, a new contract with the vendor will take effect July 1st, 2022. That contract will enable the vendor to offer competitive salaries to offer the return of full service by September. Is that still correct information? And if not, why is it still on the town website? At the time I left the council a year and a half ago, the cost of the jitney exceeded $500,000. Why not update the analysis so everyone knows how much this costs? With gas skyrocketing, capital plans to buy multiple jitneys, and the driver cost.
Your time is up.
Thank you. I'm just going to finish very briefly with
sir.
your leave, Council President. And the town not charging riders or even bothering to check residency. Wouldn't it help if you started charging the people who actually use the jitney and the service and not make other taxpayers pay most of the costs? Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, any other comments or questions? Anyone we're not hearing from? Okay, and again, a reminder for anyone that is listening, you can always email your questions to council@westorange.org, and we can respond accordingly. Okay. Close public comment? Okay. And I'll start with Claire. Claire, I still agree with you about discussing things on first reading. I think they do have to be aired out before they come up on second reading, because then it really is too late. I don't have the information on the shade tree installation and the cost. That did come up at our last meeting, and we did have our assistant engineer here at that time. And unfortunately, she's not here now. So John, I don't know if you have any information on shade tree cost and installation to answer that.
I don't have those off the top of my head, but we'll certainly, when we do our presentation, we will try to address all the questions that were raised here tonight.
And the other comment also was to table this. The council did receive a breakdown of what is being proposed in this bond ordinance, and I don't know if that has been made available, or can that be made available to see how it is all broken down about the outdoor facilities, streets, sewers, equipment, indoor facilities, information technology.
Yeah, we can make available the list that we sent you.
Great. That was very helpful. Thank you. Ron, congratulations. I know that that was your, Ron Charles, sorry, that was your proposal for the capital budget projects. I thought that was a really innovative idea. So much so that I did enter it in our certification on Sustainable Jersey for us to get points in our recertification for the township. And we will take all of those results that you did get from your survey into consideration as we move forward in other parks, because there are Minish on here, more information on O'Connor also. So there are more park improvements, and even Colgate. So thank you for that. So, and then for Joe Krakowiak, Joe, to answer your questions, also, if this is published, all of the details will be spelled out for you. It is 4 pages of additional information breaking down that budget. A couple of things that we did that did surface was that $500,000 has already been appropriated in our budget to use toward this. And Mr. Gross, I guess you could explain it better, but we did also agree to raise the open space assessment, and that has not been reflected in this budget. And I think that will definitely, I know that will definitely be earmarked for any of the recreation projects that we have moving forward. And I guess I also just want to say to Mr. Krakowiak, as a former council person, though I did agree with Claire on first reading, we have never agreed on any investment or reinvestment in the township, even as far as acquisition of properties in the town. I have always wanted to reinvest and invest in our township, and you have voted no on all of that, even as the council liaison to the Open Space Commission. I think we do need to invest in our town, and we can go over this line by line. We did not do that during our budget hearing, but we have all of the information in front of us. Any other comments? And again, I want to thank Joe Fagan for his presentation and the police department for creating this sense of belonging for our residents. Thank you.
Yeah.
Councilwoman?
Sure.
Okay.
I could start. So, Mr. Gross, just to clarify for the public, because this, this is how we fund our projects, maybe just do a quick explanation for those who are watching on how, we don't price out, cash projects. We bond yearly. So maybe you could just give a quick walkthrough, and then when you'll do your presentation on how Mr. Lepore will, I assume we're going to have, like the other years, pictures of what has been done in years past, and a better explanation of what you're proposing, and maybe just quickly share with the public what your intent is, and then I'll finish my comments.
Sure. West Orange, like most municipalities, fund capital improvements through the issuance of bond ordinances. Those are appropriations that are outside of the normal everyday budget. That's done for a number of reasons. One of the reasons is that, and I've mentioned this recently before, and we've talked about this, is that is a matter of policy, that when you use bond ordinances to pay for capital improvements, those bond ordinances are paid back over a period of time that is commensurate with the length of time the improvement is valued. So, for argument's sake, a road that is going to last 12 years, you pay back over 12 years that roadway. So that is in addition to a way to finance large expenditures, so that you don't have to, the current taxpayers don't have to come up with that money all up front. It is paid back over a period of time, so which makes it from a tax perspective much more even, but importantly as well, the taxpayers that are actually using the improvement are the ones that are actually paying for the improvement. So people come and go, and so the people that are living in town pay for the improvements during the period of time that they live in town. So it really has multiple purposes and multiple reasons that we do it the way that we do. There are a few. There's not a lot of towns. There are some towns that have managed to do capital improvements and pay for it, have saved up and within their budgets and finance them that way. It's very difficult for a town the size of us and with the varied needs that we have to do that. And certainly, we're probably, it's not realistic to think that we could actually get to do that, in the immediate future. But it is certainly a goal to try to reduce our debt, and that's a different topic, but it's certainly part of it. But this is what we project the needs for the township, and these are quality of life issues. They're all about maintaining and promoting the use of the equipment and infrastructure that we have, making sure that it lasts into the future, that it doesn't deteriorate and become less advantageous to use. And again, it all really relates to quality of life of our residents and visitors to the town.
In regards to vehicle replacement for the various departments, this is on the 5-year strategic plan that has been implemented by each department head?
Yeah, as you recall, last year we initiated a program with Enterprise Services, and we are purchasing and are obtaining our vehicles through the Enterprise program, and also doing our maintenance through them as well. So this allows us to maintain our vehicles at a lower cost, allows us to dispose of our vehicles earlier, and to get the maximum cost when we sell them. So it's a program that we started last year. We've had our first year. We think it's been pretty successful. We're going to go into this with a second year, and again, it's based on a replacement program for all of our vehicles. If we make evaluations when the time comes, we may have made plans to dispose of vehicles And if we have particular needs that would interrupt that, we certainly we'll reevaluate that.
And so with interest rates rising and going out for these bonds and regards to the debt we have paid off, I mean, I have to agree with the council, my former council colleague, because that is a fear and a concern, obviously. Where do you see us with bonding, with the current, where the rates are now?
We have been annually going long with bonds, certain tranches of bonds, in order to lock in some of the rates that the historic low rates that we have seen. So we've done that already. We will continue to do that when it makes sense. We'll hold off on that when it doesn't make sense, and to enjoy the lower rates of bond anticipation notes. There's no question that it's a concern. And if, we are going into a period of increased costs, and it is something that we're going to have to deal with, certainly in the short run. We don't know, obviously, how long that's going to last. It is, the council needs to weigh, I guess, those potential costs in the future with its desire to have the impact on quality of life when,
And if you don't have it for us today, I hope you have the answer for second reading. But in regards to, with Rock Spring and open space, Green Acres funding, what kind of time frame are we looking at? Because obviously that would pay down our debt, but we also have to make that application. So, what kind of time frame are we looking at?
Actually, we have an approved application. We're an approved town. We would begin relatively quickly to start to bring in funds from Green Acres as they have it available. And the only remaining issue that we're working with the mayor on this is identifying what parcels or what portion of the parcels would be carved off for any other a use other than open space or recreation. Once that's done, we can simply do that and go do the subdivisions, and then make application for our drawdowns for that. So,
Any idea of what you'd be going out for in regards to dollars for this application?
we don't know. We know that the full acquisition value, not cost, but the acquisition value, as of the time when we make the designation, will be eligible for 50% of that.
50 or 15?
50.
50. Thank you.
50% of that. So now, how much funds they have available at any given year, that's going to come back over time. So it won't happen all in 1 year for sure. They don't fund it that high, but over a period of time it will.
Okay, so I don't want to take up much more public comment from my colleagues, because we're going to be obviously discussing this during the reading. But I will share, I have been in communication with the administration. I had done a walkthrough with Mr. Cubey up at 10 Rooney. We're raising money. I'm on the Friends board, and we're going to be raising money. So he was there. I went to go meet him there, and I hadn't seen the building. I advise if any of you get the opportunity to go look at the building. I have to say it's a beautiful building on the outside, with the granite that you don't really realize till you're up close. And so one of my questions was to the administration. I thought we were going to be able, I assumed we were going to have new windows there, and they were trying to keep the cost down. But with all the renovations, taking title to office building, I had asked the administration if they, could get a ballpark or do a little due diligence on if we were to do the windows now. My experiences from my school board days is when you do a project and you wait a few years later to, after you've completed a renovation, then go back to replace items, it's a lot more expensive. So although it'd be a costly expense now, it's something I think we really should seriously look at, because, you know, we took title to an office building, and you know, it's our responsibility to keep all our buildings safe and well. One thing about these ordinances, and we've done in the past, is these items aren't all set in stone. We could always, once, you know, we're approving the money, and this is a blueprint of what the money could be allocated for. But Mr. Gross maybe explained to my colleagues as well as the public how if with certain items you may be able to do some projects less and move money to other items. And we will approve that when they're come before us. At that time, we're actually going to spend this money. So I think we need to take a better look at some of the items. I know a lot of these items are in need, especially with our emergency vehicles, our parks, and I know we try to keep on schedule. Was glad to see a lot of the park improvements, although I don't know, sure, the urgency and seeing what things can wait, phasing some items in, because again, we have, you know, Rock Spring and 10 Roney that we need to take a closer look at. With that, one last comment. You know, thank you for the comments from the public, and I look forward to more of a conversation on this later in the evening. Ron Charles, you know, thank you for your advocacy for that special needs park. You know, our time we spent together on the school board, you're a great advocate for a special needs community, and the park did come out beautifully. And but yeah, I was at that meeting, and we did talk about a fence. I see Mr. Keogh's in the back of the room today, so maybe we have something in our budget this year to get that done. But I'll leave that to Mr. Gross. Thank you, Council President.
Thank you. You just raised 3 questions, though, and very good points. Mr. Gross, too, about the Green Acres. I know we have been focusing on the Rock Spring Golf Club for the Green Acres. If we carve out X number of acres to apply, but we could apply for Green Acres for Crestmont, couldn't we? I mean,
Not-
there's not together?
Not until, Rock Spring has to come first.
It does.
Yeah. That's our issue. And it's just part of the quirky rules of Green Acres, that if we did something else first, we would not have the opportunity to do the carve-off. And so therefore, we need to make that decision, put that in place, and then we can move forward with any Green Acres properties. Having said that, it's limited amount of money. So while you know, it's sort of 6 1 1/2 does the other. If we decided to do Crestmont, then we probably couldn't do Rock Spring. So, you know, or at least if we did, the money would not come in any sooner. It would come in later on down the road. So.
And the other point that you made about the appropriation, that even if we appropriate this money, it can be used in other ways in the future. And about, there was another question, Mr. Gross, about last year's spending. Are we carrying money, and what are we carrying forward to put toward
Yeah,
this?
we'll do a projection of that when we do the presentation.
Okay.
So you can see what money, you know, monies that were allocated last year, that some has been spent and some has not. Keep in mind that capital projects generally are not quickly spent. There is a delay just by the pure nature of them, because you have to allocate the funds, and then you have to spend, you know, 10 or 15% on doing your plans and specs. That takes, you know, 3 to 6 months to do that, and then you go out to bid. So generally there is a lag period. You don't necessarily, and frankly you never, spend all your previous year's money by the time you come back looking for new, because we're always projecting forward with capital. That's one of the reasons one of the reasons you don't put it in your budget yourself is because it's not locked into a calendar year. They have their own cycle based on the project. Because most, our average bond ordinance, like the useful life, and that's the average of, you put everything together, how long on average does it last? It's 12 to 15 years for every bond ordinance. So, that gives you a sense that this is not just something you just your annual budget is your annual budget, and it's operating. This is different, has a different pace.
Thank you. Councilwoman Matute Brown, any response to public comment?
Yes, actually, thank you. I just raised my hand to do just that. Are you able to hear me?
Yes, yes.
Okay, great. Thank you. Glad that Councilwoman Castellino did make sure to point that out to the public, that just because it is allocated doesn't mean that, we are actually bonding every item that is provided in email to us. Each item in and of itself will come to the council for approval at its designated time. But I do agree with Mr. Gross, and I know you did it the last time, included in the last power deck the items of capital improvement that had already been accomplished. And if we can do that again, that'd be great. Just to help us better where we are. And with respect to the tree planting, we did add, it's included in the budget. It's waiting for approval, obviously. It's $50,000 that we set aside for tree planting. And what's been expended to date, at least to the date where the budget was created, was $8,640. That was to Claire Sylvester's department. And Ms. Ron Charles, that was the participatory budget. That was the program. And it was a great program, and certainly supportive of your proposal. I think it certainly does benefit our community members, and I think that it's a reasonable expectation, and thank you for advocating that the township provide funding for the fencing. I'm sure that could be part of the capital improvement budget. With respect to Mr. Krokoviak, he questioned what was planned, what does it cost. We did get a breakdown, like I said, in email from Mr. Gross, so he can post that. I'm not going to read the entire line item that he posed, but certainly am sure that it will be posted for review. And all the other questions is something that I think Mr. Gross can and has already responded. That's it for me.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Councilman Rutherford.
Thank you, Council President. Mr. Fagan, as always, thank you for an outstanding presentation. Ms. Silvestri, your questions have been addressed somewhat, but I think Mr. Gross, she wanted to know specifically what was done at 10 Rooney last year and what's planned in the interior improvements for this year. So if you can, please address that.
As I mentioned, I don't have that right in front of me here this evening, but I will address it in our presentation for sure.
All right, and then I think Councilwoman Matute Brown just said 8,000 of the 50,000 was spent for shade trees. Did I hear that right? It's not easy to hear her, but.
Well, we're mixing capital and budget, and there's funds for shade trees in both.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, we added an additional $50,000 in this year's in the budget, in the current fund budget for shade trees.
But last year there was 50. Is that right?
Last year, I think it was $2,000 in the current fund budget. There was, I believe, 50,000, and again, I don't have it directly in front of me. I think there was 50,000, an additional 50,000 in last year's capital, and which repeats in this year's capital.
And of the 50 from last year, we spent 8?
I don't think that's,
I don't know what she said. It was hard to.
Could I just clarify?
Councilwoman
So, Mr.
Chuprang.
Gross, we added the 50,000 this year. Last year is, as you stated, that was not, there wasn't $50,000 in the budget for tree planting. It's been increased to 50,000. What was in there was what stated a moment ago. It was a little over $2,000 that was allocated, but according to the budget itself, 8,640 is what was expended. So while 2,500 was allocated in the budget, $8,640 were expended. And that's, you can look that up in the budget that's presented, and it's online as well.
yeah, keeping in mind that your budget is a plan, and what we plan at the beginning of the year versus what we actually spend at the end of the year are often a different number. We can transfer in the last 2 months of the year. We budgeted 25, I think it's 2,500 last year, and we spent 8,500 or 8,000, so we spent more. And then this year we were budgeting 50,000.
So I was unclear because I thought she said there was 50,000 from last year, but that's not what she says according to that explanation, so I'm happy to let it go. Mr. Charles, thank you again for, as others have mentioned, for your advocacy and for the successful installation at the park. And certainly, the fence seems appropriate. O'Connor happens to be my family's park of choice in town, so we're very familiar. And so we, at the Rutherford household, thank you as well. On a personal note, just not as a councilman. Mr. Krakowiak, you had quite a few questions, and I think one that I'm not sure was answered was what is planned at Rock Spring, and a second that I'm not sure was answered is how many jitneys are planned in this budget. Can you speak to that, or did I miss that
Yeah,
as well?
I think there's, we do have some money left over from previous years for jitney, so there's a small number in here to help us fill out to get what we have. We currently have 6 routes. We have approximately 10 buses. They are aging. We would like to replace at least 2 a year. And we did not do that in the past year or two because of our routes. Routes did reduce to 3 because of demand, because of COVID, but that demand is rising now, and we think we're going to get back to the 6 routes, within this next contract for sure. So we would like to be in a position to be able to replace 2 a year. And we may need to replace a 3rd based on the conditions that we have now, because they're starting to get pretty worn out. So,
Are we replacing with the same exact type jitney, or are we looking at?
we have a grant, and we're looking for an electric jitney.
There we go.
And so we're having difficulty finding them actually, and not only are we having difficulty finding them available, we're having difficulty finding the type of jitney that we would use to be that's being manufactured in electric. So we're working on that. We're working with the state to get down that road, and we don't know ultimately moving forward that we have a grant for the first one, but then after that we don't know what the cost is going to be. So we suspect they're going to be higher. Substantially higher for electric.
Absolutely. I mean, that's to be expected, but we do expect the long-term benefits, especially with climate change, to outweigh the additional.
It's not a
costs.
complaint. Just an observation.
Yeah.
We have to be prepared to.
There was a comment made. I'm not exactly sure who made it. That the tax base declined 8 of the last 10 years. I don't understand that. Did you say that, or did I get that wrong?
I didn't say that. Mr. Krakowiak said it's accurate. We've had because of tax appeals and trying to stop the bleeding of commercial tax appeals that have the potential to really cause significant problem. Most of that has been from that. Certainly our general tax base itself, as far as our residential and the economic tax base has not declined, but because of between tax appeals and frankly, us taking things off the tax rolls with open space acquisitions, Crestmont, Rock Spring, that impacts our overall tax base.
If I hear you correctly, the majority of that is from commercial ratables, is that right?
Well, a good portion of it is like I said, is those two properties. Rock Spring is a $12 million property. Crestmont's a $5 million property. So you take that kind of money off of your assessment, you're not going to go up. You're going down.
Well, that was in 2 of the 8 years that it declined, though. So, I mean, 6 of those 8 years, it was not due to open space being preserved.
They're settlement of tax appeals, absolutely.
And that's primarily from commercial.
Primarily.
Okay. I just want to be clear. I mean, I think that points out other issues. I don't know that this is the appropriate time to have commentary on that. I just wanted to be clear that that is coming from commercial. I have some additional commentary with regard to the debt, but I'm going to reserve it for when we get to those ordinances. I think that may do it for me. Thank you, Council President.
Thank you, Mr. Rutherford. John, just go back to the grant for the EV buses. Does that also include the installation of this charging state? It sounds like a crazy question, but
It does not.
It does not. All right, I remember that. Right.
It
So
does
that's
not.
a separate grant that we'd have to look at for the charging stations themselves.
We're applying for another grant to outfit our parking lot out here with charging stations.
Right.
So there again, same problem. We're having difficulty finding the equipment available to do that. So.
Councilwoman Williams.
Thank you, Council President. I am just going to move us right into the next phase of our meeting. I think all of the commentary that I would certainly question has been discussed. So in the essence of time, thank you. But I don't have any additional comments.
Okay. Madam Clerk. Thank you.
Review of the consent agenda. Approval of minutes of previous meeting, June 14th, 2022, public meeting.
Consent.
Report of township officers, none. Reading of petitions and communications and bids, none. Bills. Are there any questions on the bills?
Consent.
Consent.
Resolutions. Are any resolutions being pulled this evening?
I'd like to pull 16722.
Madam, I'd like to pull 22,
Which one? I'm sorry.
16922.
Okay.
She's at 160?
One,
Yeah, is it 169?
169.
Yeah, it sounded like 159. Okay,
Mhm.
thank you.
And what else was pulled? I'm sorry.
167.
G, matrix.
Are any other resolutions being pulled this
I
evening?
had a question on 168.
All right. Any other resolutions being pulled? All right,
Yeah.
Councilwoman Williams.
I'm sorry. Now I'm not ready to see what I wrote. Can you come back to me so I can figure out what my question was?
Okay.
I apologize.
You're looking for the IT network systems
Yeah,
management?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah.
168?
Yeah, 168.
We're doing 6722.
Okay, we're just gonna pass because I don't know where my notes are, so thank you.
Okay. Are there any other resolutions being pulled this evening? No?
No.
Okay. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? The consent agenda is implemented. Councilman Rutherford pulled 167-22, resolution authorizing retention of Matrix New World as the licensed site remediation professional to assist and oversee the off-site vapor intrusion investigations on Central Avenue within the area designated the Central Valley Brownfield Development Area as to the suspected discharge of hazardous substances or hazardous waste to off-site vapor investigations.
Councilman?
Thank you, Council President. So in the fifth whereas clause, it says there's a total fixed fee cost of $62,900. And when I read through all of the attachments, I didn't see where that was listed anywhere in Matrix's proposal. Specifically, they have perhaps I'm missing, it says costs. The following are the estimated costs for the tasks described herein to complete the revised RI for the Biddleman site. All work will be conducted in accordance with the attached standard terms and conditions and LSRP special provisions. That's the bottom of page 3, but there's no number there.
Okay, I'll have to look. There's a cost per test and exam. What we're asking you to approve is a not to exceed. If it should be less, but that's their estimate of what it's going to take. So we would not go beyond that under any circumstance.
So yeah, that's a little concerning for me. In the whereas clause, it reads, the proposal provides that Matrix will perform the required services as set forth therein for a total fixed fee cost of $62,900. So it sounds to me, if we approve this resolution, we're going to pay them $62,900, but they don't mention.
Well, they have to actually perform. So if there be a requirement, just like any contract, if we end up not using the full scope, then we need to, we're not going to pay them for work that wasn't done.
Right, so where does it list what these, should we know what these various, they list all of the various tests, the processes they're going to go through. They don't list any costs associated with any of them. And the resolution lists a total fixed cost, not a not to exceed, but a total fixed cost.
I think there must be another page that for some reason is not there.
Maybe I missed it, maybe it's not in my packet.
No, I don't, I'm just saying.
There is a page 4 that's not included in this. If you look at page 3 where you were reading from, then it jumps to page 5 is the next page.
4's missing.
So we are missing page 4.
Unless they mismarked it.
No, because it identifies costs, and then it doesn't identify costs, and then it goes to page 5.
You're right,
Right, it says the following costs.
Right.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, can we see page 4?
I have what you have, but I'm going to go on my computer and look for it because,
No worries.
yeah, let me go look to see what my attachment had.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Can we just,
Well, let me just ask a question. Would it be materially substantial if we changed it to not to exceed the 62,900?
or is your concern that
We'd
it
still
not
wanna
to
know what the
exceed, or do
costs
you
are,
still
but-
want to know what the costs are?
I would like to know what the costs are too.
Of course, but she can,
Yeah.
sorry,
It
counsel.
appears that there's two pages.
Madam Clerk.
I don't see a page 2 or 4, so
I'm looking for the original, see if, I don't know where in the copies.
Very good catch. Actually, there are two page 2s missing. So it looks like she somehow missed the even pages.
We'll see.
Uh-huh.
All right, can we
Yeah,
move
they're-
on?
Yeah,
Since
they're
this is
usually
done
set up the same
being pulled?
way.
And
Yeah,
so
because
we
in
can
here
we
there's a no
continue?
page 2. We skipped from section 6 to section 13.
Can we just table this until she comes back and
Sure.
then move on?
I'm happy to do that.
All right.
All right. I'm happy
And
to
the
try to
other
come back anyway.
ordinance,
That was count.
We need the clerk, huh? Okay.
Break time.
Okay.
So I move that we reconvene the meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
You have to say that.
So it appears that when the original came in, it came in with a front and back, but it was only, when they got scanned, it only scanned on one side. We met with them late last week and went over all of the costs, and legal had quite an extensive discussion with them. One of the issues we have with this, and so we'd ask you to give us some leniency on this, we have to get this work done by the beginning of August in order to protect our grant. We got awarded a $3 million grant today for this, but the work in order to the permits that we have or the permissions that we're getting from DEP will expire if we don't get this work done by the beginning of August. So if
Can we take care of it in our July meeting, July 14th?
well, no, I mean the work. No, it takes they have to work now through August to get it done. So we wait till July, they won't be able to start work. You know, we've pretty much made it clear to them that we needed to get this work done right away. So
Can we change the language to not to exceed and?
Yeah, that's fine.
I'll make a motion to change the language to, instead of total fixed fee cost of $62,900, to change that to not to exceed.
Second.
Okay?
All in favor? Aye.
I'm sorry, I'm
It's all right.
writing,
No,
taking
it's not
notes.
you. It's all
Okay.
good. How quickly can we get the,
Yeah, we should have that tomorrow.
Yes.
can we get the missing pages? How quickly can we get them?
We should have tomorrow.
So then I move that we proceed with the acceptance of this, or at least a vote for this resolution.
Okay,
just
can
do
you
that?
just, can we slow it down a little bit? Because there's so many motions going back and forth, so.
One at a time, certainly.
Right, right. So we did the change of language,
Mm-hmm.
and was everyone in favor of that?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you. Okay. All right. Are we ready to vote on this resolution? Okay.
So just for clarity, Mr. Kaiser, my vote is subject to an acceptable, actually receiving the missing pages and then the information in them being acceptable. Is that?
As amended.
It's not an
I'm
amendment.
not sure what you're looking for in terms of,
I mean, we don't know what those
I don't know what's
numbers
gonna be on page 2 and
It,
4.
it has to
Right.
add up. Has to add up. It has.
Just
it
can't
ha-
exceed.
this number has to be. It can't go over.
It can't be greater than
Right.
62.9.
Right.
Right.
That's what we're voting on.
Okay.
Okay. Is there a motion to approve 167-22 with the new language?
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Councilwoman Castellino?
Yes.
Councilwoman Matute Brown?
Yes.
Councilman Rutherford?
Yes.
Councilwoman Williams?
Yes.
Council President McCartney?
Yes.
Okay,
Madam Clerk,
go ahead, I'm sorry.
When you get those pages tomorrow, or whoever gets them, can you?
I will forward
on
them.
that email so I
Yeah, I'll
can see?
forward them to everybody.
Thank you.
Okay.
Councilwoman Matute Brown, you pulled Resolution 16922.
Resolution authorizing the Township of West Orange tax collector to prepare and mail estimated tax bill in accordance with PL 1994 C-72.
Thank you, Council President and Madam Clerk. One of the things I do before I discuss this resolution is just to make sure that the public understands that Resolution 16722 does include a 75% reimbursement from the New Jersey Economic Development Authority.
Having trouble hearing you.
She was
So
referencing the 75% match that's included in 16722.
I'm sorry, I didn't
We pulled.
help what
Okay.
said.
Yeah, we couldn't hear her properly.
Yeah,
She-
you're cutting out a little bit.
Not match, but we get 75%
Yeah.
of that reimbursed by DEP for 16722. She did.
Yes.
Yes, that's what I was saying, that there's a reimbursement. I'm sorry that it's cutting out.
Right.
I have my laptop on mute, so I'm only using the phone to speak. Are you able to hear me better?
Yes.
Okay. So I did not pull this to vote against it, but instead, for the benefit of the public, if Mr. Gross can discuss the estimated increase of the tax rate at now 4.482.
Yeah, this is a resolution that projects the tax rate for the year 2022. Because the budget is being adopted in July and we'll need to get tax bills out at the beginning of July, we have to do an estimate in order to be able to collect taxes in August and make sure that we have the proper cash flow in order to do our business and pay our bills.
Are we ready to vote?
Thank you.
So what I wanted Mr. Gross to do is, I know that the attachment to that resolution is to indicate to the public what are the changes in the tax rate.
Cut out right there.
I'm having a little trouble hearing you.
Yeah.
I think she wants us, I think
Can
she
you
wants
repeat
you
that?
to just.
Read it?
Yes, I was asking to just go down and break down what the changes in the tax rates are. So for like the local municipal tax rate from 2021 and the difference that this resolution now proposes as an estimate.
Okay, I can read that if that's what you would like. The tax rate, I'm sorry. The tax rate change for 2022 for, hold on a second, apologize. The levy change goes from 2,042,088,389 to 246,819,328 in total, and that is a 2% increase in the levy. The tax rate itself, because of the reduction in assessed value, will actually shift from $4.353 to 4.482, which is approximately a 3% increase.
And Mr. Gross, just for the general public's information as well, can you just explain how the reduction in the tax base is not the only reason that this has increased, right? Because we're looking at an increase in the school budget formula, well, not the formula, but the school budget has also increased. And so this is just not a simple calculation of the municipality's tax portion, but in totality, the library, the open space, school, county.
Yes, this is a function of all the different levels of taxation, be it the local municipal tax, the library tax, open space, school, county, and the county open space tax. So, and some of it is estimates, some of it's actual, but it is an estimate for the estimated bills, and which in the fourth quarter, when we do the fourth quarter, we'll actually send out actual tax bills, which will take into consideration this estimate in the final calculation of the tax bills.
Thank you.
And Council President, and to Councilwoman's point, I just want to go down the breakdown of that 4.353 rate. Our local municipal is 1.072. Library is 0.040. Open space is 0.005. Our school portion is 2.659. County portion is 0.558, and county open space is 0.018, which meets the total of 4.353. Thank you.
I think.
Oh, wait, I'm
2000.
sorry, I
Yeah,
read
that was in
last year.
2000.
Yeah, I think we
Wait,
should
let
do
me
the
go again.
2022
Okay,
numbers.
Do it again
sorry.
on
My eyes.
2022.
I meant well, folks.
No.
Okay, so we're 1.105, libraries 0.040, that didn't change. Open space 0.010, School is a little higher, 2.740. The county, 0.569, and the county open space didn't change, 0.018, for a total 4.482. Sorry about that.
And I just
Thank
reminded.
you, Councilwoman Castellino. That's very helpful for the public to understand.
Just to remind you, these are all, for the most part,
Estimates, yeah.
estimates. When we get the final tax bill, you're likely to see some small variations of those.
Are we ready to vote?
Think so.
Okay. Is there a motion to approve 169-22?
So moved.
Second,
Councilwoman Castellino?
yes.
Councilwoman Matute Brown?
Yes,
Councilman Rutherford?
Yes.
Councilwoman Williams?
Yes.
Council President McCartney?
Yes.
Okay. Ordinances on second and final reading, 2686-22, an ordinance amending Chapter 2, Section 14.5 and Section 14.9 of the revised general ordinances, appointment of police department officers and personnel. Is there a motion to introduce on second and final reading?
So moved,
Second.
Councilwoman Castellino?
yes.
Councilwoman Matute Brown?
yes,
Councilman Rutherford?
Yes.
Councilwoman Williams?
Yes.
Council President McCartney?
Yes.
This is the
Any-
time for public
okay,
comment.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Good evening, Joe Krakowiak, Grandview Avenue. While I applaud the efforts to try to expand the pool of qualified police officers, I have to note that just by my calculation, about 45 lines of this ordinance have changed since the first reading. Now, that represents roughly, looks like 40 to 50% of the copy in this ordinance. And as you know, when there's a substantial change in an ordinance on first reading, it has to start all over and go through a first reading and a second reading. And I'm just curious as to why, with roughly 45 lines between deletions and additions to an ordinance that has about 100 lines, perhaps a little bit more, how it is that they can change roughly half of the lines and it still be on the agenda tonight for second reading. And also just encourage everybody to speak into the microphone so we can hear.
Sure,
Thank you.
thank you. Isn't that the red line
So-
version that's posted?
I believe so,
Yeah, I don't,
Right,
Yes,
so
and-
these changes, it was on first reading, and this is what we were looking at first reading.
I don't know, I mean, all I have is a red line version that was on the agenda. I didn't prepare this, it was prepared by Mr. Shank's firm, so I have no idea, but I thought that this was the same as it was on first reading. If
Yeah.
these-
It is.
If these are changes from first reading, then I would agree with Mr. Krakowiak, that maybe
No.
problem. But I thought this was the same language as was done on first reading.
There's not been any
And there
change.
has been no change
No
between
change.
then and now. Okay,
This is a red line, just to
Yeah.
be clear, this is a red line version of the ordinance as it was.
On first reading,
Correct.
yeah. So maybe it was posted
That's
after first reading, is maybe that's why there's confusion where,
There was one
could've
ordinance
got
that
it
was
from-
up there that did not have the red lines. I thought it did, and I went in and I put the red line version up, but there were no changes to,
okay.
right.
that happened with steep slope ordinance.
Right.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Any other comments on this ordinance? No,
No, so
Council Cullen?
just to restate, this is the same version we had on first
it
reading.
is. Yep.
Correct. Are we ready to vote?
Yep, and the purpose of this ordinance is the entry-level law enforcement position. That's what we have been discussing about police officers taking the alternate route. And then the requirement for examination of civil service, The candidate has successfully completed the full basic course for police officers training course at an approved school and authorized by the Police Training Commission within 9 months of the date of hire. I'll finish the rest. This is legislative history. Further, this ordinance has been revised to conform New Jersey State Statute 40A 14-122.1, which states no municipality shall pass an ordinance, resolution, rule, regulation, order, or directive making residency therein a condition of employment for the purpose of original appointment, continued employment, promotion, or any other purpose for any member of the police department and force, excuse me, and any such ordinance, rule, regulation, order, or directive in existence on the effective date of this act or passed hereafter shall be void and have no force or effect.
And Council President,
Yes, please.
I'd just like to
Councilwoman
add,
Castellino.
I just want to commend our police department and our officers, trying to increase the pool for our minority hiring. I know Charlie Bryan and Sergeant Wilcox have been out there, visiting schools. They've been at our street fairs, community events, and just trying to, get the word out. What a great experience and what a great career you could have at the West Orange Police Department. So this just is another tool in their toolbox. Continue to the good work that they have been serving our community. Thank you, Councilwoman.
Thank you, Councilwoman. When this did come up on first reading, though, there was talk, we had a conversation about nepotism and how it seemed that the police department was being singled out. For us to go the alternate route, that provision has to be in this ordinance, and we were advised that we do have a policy in the employee handbook, which has been adopted by ordinance, and the policy is 2.10-1, 2.10-2, A and B, which addresses supervision of relatives, and the policy is not for the purpose of depriving any citizen of an equal chance for a government employee, but is solely to eliminate the potential for preferential treatment of the relatives of governmental personnel. So this has been adopted as the employee handbook, and it has been adopted by ordinance. The effective date, this was 2006.
To that point in particular, it certainly needs to be updated, and there's clearly the perception, at the very least, of nepotism. And so if we're going to redo things and make a formal policy with the police, I think we should do it townwide, and I don't think we need to rush. We didn't get into this, we don't find ourselves in this quandary with regard to hiring diverse police officers as a result of something that happened overnight. This is something that has been going on for years and years and years. So if we're going to fix it, we should fix it. And I applaud the chief and the police for being creative and being willing to do things differently to address it. But I also think we should do it right. So if we're going to do it with the police, we should do it townwide. It should be an evaluation townwide, and the same rules should apply everywhere in town. And so for that purpose, even though I'm happy to introduce it on second reading, my vote has not changed from the last time.
Council President, I absolutely understand and appreciate and respect the concept of trying to be consistent across the board. Problem is the legislature has put us in a position where they have promulgated inconsistent rules. We do not have the ability to take the same criteria for that is being proposed here tonight for the alternate method or alternate route and use that across the board. There's no way to go from a civil service list and jump and skip people because of of a relationship they may have with somebody in the organization. So this particular ordinance that is being proposed tonight for the alternate route cannot be used for the rest of the employees. If you were going to try to do something that you wanted to do across the board, you'd have to start with a different set of premises, because civil service just doesn't allow you to not hire somebody because someone works for the township. So it's just, you know, we took this, we went to legal to look at it. You know, obviously the issue was raised at the last meeting, and they've advised us that we don't have the ability to do that.
So I understand that it will not, or it may not apply perfectly, but to ignore the fact that it should be consistent throughout town and figure out a solution that does apply in other departments within town, I think is a missed opportunity. You know, part of what is challenging me with this is we're asking folks, and we've been asking folks to do more with less for a long time. And we're asking people to make significant sacrifices to keep this town running well. And we're having challenges recruiting people because of the pay. And I think what we're doing is just addressing problems in a piecemeal fashion. And I think that's a problem in and of itself. Let's take a breath and do this town-wide. Let's see what is best for operating government town-wide. How do we make sure that there is the perception of fairness, that there is actual fairness, that people have confidence in the leadership, that when we're making decisions, we're making them in the best interest of the employees and the residents. And some of that has to do with nepotism. Now, it's not all nepotism. There are other issues, but I do think if we're consistent across the board, we create more trust, we engender better will with the employees as well as with the residents, and that's where the rub is for me.
Yeah, I get it, and I understand completely. Unfortunately, the statutes don't allow us to do that. So if you want to have the alternate route, you're going to have a separate policy, because you cannot implement the same policy across the board.
I understand that. What I'm saying is if we're going to do that at this time for the police, for that purpose, let's also do it town-wide. Even if the policy for other departments in town is different, it still is the same intent behind it, which is to make it more fair.
I'm not following you. In other words, you're saying adopt it for the whole town, but then not implement it?
No, so let me clarify for you.
I don't understand.
If the issue is nepotism,
Yeah.
right? If that's the clause that has to be in this particular resolution so that we can hire outside of the civil service order. If we're going to include that clause for that purpose with regard to police, let's examine the issue town-wide and then have a policy that reflects that town-wide, even if the policy is different in different departments. The intent behind it is the same. The intention behind the anti-nepotism clause is so that we don't just decide to, hire who we want to hire that's related to us, regardless of their, where they fall on the exam. That clause has to be in there to prevent government from making poor choices with regard to who they hire because they like someone or they're related to someone, right? We should take that same intent and apply that town-wide, even if the actual policy is different.
But civil service doesn't allow you to do that.
Okay.
That-
So
and
we're going to
that's
go.
where we're having a disconnect.
Okay.
I mean, I don't disagree with you. We should have one policy.
We have an anti-nepotism policy now, right?
That's what we're
Now,
saying.
our policy, our anti-nepotism policy, it's not, it is a supervision policy. It
Okay.
says that someone cannot be supervised by someone, and that's allowed within the civil service rules. So,
Council President,
Yes, sir.
if I may. and I
Mr.
don't-
Kaiser, yes.
I don't pretend to be an expert on civil service law. I'm not familiar with the statute that Mr. Gross is referring to. I don't know if Mr. Trink is, if he's done the work or not, or if his firm has. But all I can say is that we cannot act as a municipality contrary to state statute. You just can't do it. You don't have the authority. So if it's a statutory problem, it's not surmountable without a change in the law, and the state legislature is the only one that can make that change. So, I mean, somebody could do a memo on this, I'm sure. I just don't, and I'm not looking to do it, frankly. But hopefully Rich maybe has done some research with respect to this and can do it. And we can provide a memo to the council explaining why, if it's true that we can't do it, because the statute is why it can't be done. But that's, just to be clear, if it's a statutory problem, you don't have the power to overcome it.
So it's my understanding, and I'm no expert on civil service law either, but it's my understanding that if there's a statute that says A, B, C, and that is what the statute says, we, in some cases, can be more restrictive or some cases less restrictive than the statute, and it's generally spelled out within the statute. I would be surprised if civil service would not allow us to have some rules and regulations regarding how we hire friends and family.
What you have just said is accurate to an extent, but there's also a doctrine called preemption. And when the state has a statute that is a comprehensive statute that governs everybody in the state, it's not always the case that a township, a municipality can act more stringently than that statute. So it preempts the field. And I suspect that would be the case with the civil service statute. Again, I don't like to offer.
And it may be, but the fact that we're having this debate at all means that it has not even been fully explored. So, or at least it seems that way to me.
Councilman, without
It has,
actually having a
yes.
debate,
It has.
you may be disputing
the
my
question.
assertion, but it is not allowed. And our legal division has told us that it's not allowed.
Okay,
So,
I'm happy to have the vote.
Okay, good.
Okay, is there a motion to approve 268622?
So moved.
Second,
Councilwoman Castellino?
Yes.
Councilwoman Matute Brown?
Yes.
Councilman Rutherford?
No.
Councilwoman Williams?
Yes.
Council President McCartney?
yes.
Okay.
Before you start, though,
Sure.
I will share with you a copy of the employee handbook, because after the questions that were raised at our last meeting, I did ask for that information, and I will share that with you so that you could read the
Thank you.
policies that
I
are in
have
there.
the employee handbook. It's actually online too.
Yeah, okay, then I have to have a copy. I had to have a copy. Thank you, Madam Clerk.
Just so everyone know, I don't know if those ordinances are online. That part of that handbook was rescinded. Remember I sent you the ordinances? Just so you knew that. I sent them to you. So.
I took what I needed out of it.
Right,
Yeah,
but I
okay.
just, yeah. I'll be happy to send that to everyone if you like.
Please.
Yes,
that's
thank you.
helpful.
Sure, Madam Clerk. Okay. Ordinances on first reading, 268822, an ordinance creating a reclassification and salary schedule of certain Township of West Orange employees, setting forth their titles, classification, and salary ranges, and adopting a salary guide and establishing the employee's status as a Township employee and under the guidelines of the New Jersey Department of Personnel. Is there a motion to introduce
So
on
moved.
first? Thank you.
Second.
Councilwoman Castellino?
Yes.
Councilwoman Matute Brown?
No.
Councilman Rutherford?
No.
Councilwoman Williams?
Yes.
Council President McCartney?
Yes,
Okay. 26, is there any discussion? I'm sorry, I didn't want.
I did want to have a discussion as to, Council President, I don't know if you can hear me. Can you hear me?
yes, Councilwoman.
Thank you. One of the reasons is because I do not, and I voted no for all of the superiors to be placed on a tier, if you will, the last time we were in session. I have a few concerns with respect to this ordinance specifically. In section 7, it talks about employees moving from the traditional salary guide to the common tier salary guide shall be placed on the common tier step immediately higher than the step of the traditional salary guide. If I am reading that correctly, and please correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Gross, does that mean that they're immediately bumped up in salary because of the step guide that they are now on?
the ordinance as proposed is consistent with the, what was presented to the council as part of the reorganization. And within that, that is exactly what was proposed in the budget discussions. So this ordinance is put together to do nothing more than to reflect what was approved in the introduced budget.
Okay, thank you, which is why I voted no on the proposal. But also when I'm looking at the legislative history, it talks or makes reference to correct contract reference, correct calculation error, placed on correct tab. I don't know what that means, placed on correct tab, if that means correct step. But I just wanted to put on the record why I voted against this, because I do not believe that this was the right decision for the township or the town council to take. Thank you, Council President.
No, I just wanted to clarify the question of tabs is which section that a position was in. We found the most of the legislative history are either corrections or changes that have happened since the last time it was adopted. The last adoption was in September of 21, I believe. So there have been a number of things that were discovered with it, in such a massive document from time to time. We find just things that are either errors or missed, typos, and we try to correct them, and we try to identify in the legislative the areas which change so that we can do it. In terms of so the different tab is where a position was on in one section and should have been in another. So that's pretty much how most of that is housekeeping.
Thank you.
Ordinance
Thank you.
2689-22, bond ordinance providing for various 2022 capital improvements by and in the Township of West Orange, appropriating $10,448,104, therefore, and authorizing the issuance of $9,950,572 in bonds or notes of the township to finance part of the cost thereof. Is there a motion to introduce on first reading?
So moved.
Second.
Councilwoman Castellino?
Yes.
Councilwoman Matute Brown?
No.
Councilman Rutherford?
No.
Councilwoman Williams?
Yes.
Council President McCartney?
Yes.
Okay. Is there any
Any
discussion?
discussion?
Council President?
Councilman
may.
Rutherford, yes?
So I have several questions. We've been talking now for almost 2 years, Mr. Gross and I, about what's going to happen when interest rates go up. I think we know now, right? Like it is happening in real time as we speak. So before we make decisions like this, roughly, $14 million in new bonding, which I have no dispute is necessary or helpful, requested, usual, ordinary, all of those things. I think before we make those decisions, we should know what we're facing with regard to converting our short-term debt and retiring some of this long-term debt. I know there's some issues with Rock Spring that still have to be cleared up before we can apply for open space. But even when we do, there's a timetable upon which we can expect to be repaid. The amount of time it takes to get Rock Spring done is going to dictate, according to earlier commentary tonight, when we can apply for Crestmont. Whatever happens, downtown, that's another issue for us as well. And while I am confident that we should be able to work through those things, I think it's important for us and for the township to understand how that will affect us and our debt service in particular going forward before we continue to make decisions like this. So for that reason, without knowing those things, how much short-term debt is going to be converted this year, how much is expected to be converted next year, what happens if interest rates go up to a certain point or rise faster than we expect, what will the impact of that conversion be, where will cuts come in other areas on the budget. Without having that kind of insight, I think it's difficult. I know it's difficult for me, and I think it should be difficult for all of us to support this ordinance at this time.
We certainly understand. There's no question that we're entering into a higher interest rate environment, and we certainly we do a sensitivity analysis on what interest rates, a fluctuation of interest rate, what that will mean moving forward.
So you have a model?
Well, it's easy to put together. I can put something together for you.
I've been asking for one. I would like to see it because I think we're living it in real time right now. And I think that's going to be a real issue for us. It could be a major issue for us as soon as next year. There was commentary tonight about inflation. So we're going to have to pay more for everything that we buy, right? And that's just going to be built into the budget. So what we're expecting to pay now could go up significantly by the time we actually buy it. But in order to fight inflation, we're going to have to raise interest rates significantly, and that's already baked into the cake. So we know there's pain coming. What I think we need to know is how much pain is coming and how we're going to mitigate that, especially before we make a decision like this tonight. And I would encourage my council colleagues. I think we should be very deliberate about this decision, and I think we should have a lot more clarity, at least for the next 2 years, before we make this decision.
Council President, if I may.
Councilwoman Matute Brown?
Thank you. I just wanted to also kind of record as to why I am not supporting the introduction of this bond or the that are listed. I typically understand and support the need for the ordinances kept through. However, consider the last couple of years and not having anything in front of me that demonstrates what we have accomplished with what we have approved to be bonded, whether it's bonded or not. It's something that I think is necessary for all of us to understand before we move forward. We are in a position where, as it was stated, inflation is here. I want to know what we are prioritizing. Obviously, I read the list of items that need improvement, and I agree with many of them, some I don't. However, I can't finally make a decision to support this without having more detailed information and understanding what the plan is in reducing the debt service. I understand that we do already something in place that obviously pays down what we have bonded, but sitting before me right now, I don't have anything to show me what we have done and how this is prioritized. So I'm not going to support any of the ordinances that are on for this evening. That's it for me, Council. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman. So what I recall during our budget workshop was a sheet, and I just checked, I don't have my budget with me, but there was a sheet in there that talked about the debt statement. It talked about paying down the debt. There was charts of that. If this is approved, can you add this into a presentation in July, updating that sheet that was in the workshop?
As I indicated, we certainly can do a sensitivity analysis so that you understand what that is. I mean, the council has all that information, various sources. I can pull together and make it easy to show for the public to understand. That's as I said before, I'd be happy to do that.
And John, also the projections, because what, in this pile here, Councilman Castellino just read off, that projection that I mentioned also about the open space, increasing it 97.7%, that will also be projected in quite a bit of the items that are on here are for recreational use. So I would like to see how this increase in the open space assessment can be applied to paying down this bond.
At this point, the administration is only anticipating funding some of the down payment through those funds. Having said that,
because that's already appropriated.
Once you look at the finalized numbers for the open space tax at a full 1%.
Projected, yes.
We can then, and we will then have a pretty good idea of where we stand with those funds and the things that we've committed to. We can talk about how those funds can be leveraged moving forward.
With all due respect, though, the open space tax is projected to be about $1 million or so. I'm not looking at it right now. I know it's double.
It'll be about $500,000 a year.
$500,000, right. So it was 250 the prior year?
Yeah,
Okay.
ballpark.
So, we're going to add about $500,000 to our open space fund. At best, we'll have $1.5 million in there. Like, that's not enough to really make a dent in some of these numbers. I mean, we've got a $10 million or $9.9 million bond. That's, roughly 10%. Can't bring the open space down to zero. So, I think we should have real clarity. And these are tough decisions. So I'm not trying to beat you up, John. I'm not.
No, and I respect. I said,
Yeah.
and we've had this conversation.
Yeah.
It's a real issue. I mean,
real
the interest rate movement is a real issue, and it's got to be dealt with. And you have to balance the cost of that versus the impact on the quality of life that these improvements present. And that's you're in a tough spot. The council has tough decisions on these things.
Absolutely. So, and I hope you appreciate that. I didn't mean to call you by your
No.
first name, Mr. Gross. I do appreciate the work that you put into this. But I do think we have to, be a little more transparent. with that.
Look, our job is to present with you the information that you need in order to make decisions, and to give the final go ahead based on our recommendations of where we believe we can go. But it's really your call.
And if you don't mind, when you do send over the model, please let us, give us at least an idea of where we would, or where the administration would like to make whatever cuts would be necessary to accommodate the increased debt service.
Well, as you know, that will be a decision that the mayor will make, and any impact of this is not going to impact this year's budget. It's going to impact next year's budget. So the next year's mayor will have to make those calls.
Thank you, Mr. Gross.
Council President?
Councilwoman Castellino.
Thank you. So I'm okay with moving forward with this on first reading. Obviously, there's a lot more questions and not enough time to get all our answers, being we were only presented with the details yesterday, which isn't unusual for this to get this on first reading, so a lot will be answered by next reading. Again, to the concerns of my colleagues, we need to be concerned. I mean, we're treading waters, but I also am concerned, with the rates increasing, they're also going to go a lot higher next year. So projects that really need to get done, and with administration really reviewing this list, I would support getting it done this year before they even raise even more next year. However, this list, I'm not set on, with the minimal time we had to look at it. There are other concerns I have, like I said, about 10 Rooney, about, our building at Rock Spring. So it should be an interesting next couple of weeks as you get us that information. So that's all I'm going to say to that. But thank you for the diligence that you have done, but we need definitely more clarity. Thank you, Council
And I just want to echo the concerns of my council colleagues. Some of the line items, I think we should discuss and make sure they're absolutely necessary so that we can be mindful of, the concerns and the increases on our residents and our constituents. We have to be mindful. I am certainly supportive of approving this on first reading, but all the information that my council colleagues have requested, I think will be pertinent in us making a wise decision. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman Williams.
Ordinance 2690-22, bond ordinance providing for capital improvements and equipment acquisitions for various parks, buying in the township, appropriating $4,500,000, therefore, and authorizing the issuance of $4,285,714 bonds or notes of the township to finance part of the cost thereof. Is there a motion to introduce on first reading?
So moved.
Second.
Councilwoman Castellino?
Yes.
Councilwoman Matute Brown?
No.
Councilman Rutherford?
No.
Councilwoman Williams?
Yes.
Council President McCartney?
Yes.
Okay.
So, Council President, so,
Councilwoman Castellino?
thank you. So again, this is one of those, seeing how urgent the need is. Also, I had asked Mr. Gross and our rec director if this could be scaled down in any way. I believe we could take the lighting out of the package and phase that in over time. I know, Mr. Gross, when you answered my questions, just to share with my colleagues, we would be able to do that, but we would have to, if we were to do something separate for, say, windows at 10 Rooney, it would have to be a separate deposit.
Yeah, you
from
can't really
from
trade this. You can't trade
Yeah.
this, to another product. But it would.
You
Your net
could
debt, your net debt's not going to change differently, but the amount of down payment you have to come up with changes. So.
So you could scale this down, this project, and phase out the lighting on it, lighting package,
There's nothing.
which is about $1 million, by the way.
In any of our capital improvement requests that couldn't be altered in some way, if and particularly the ones that are programmatic, where you're making a decision about, long-term improvements of a programmatic space. That's really a choice for council to make in terms of the future programming and again, whatever quality of life that comes along with it.
And just so my colleagues know, part of this improvement package at O'Connor is a lot of drainage issues that they're having with the fields. And also, the space as our programs are expanding all over the place, which is a good thing for more families come in the community, more programming. The value you get when you turf the field is, you have less, less maintenance. But again, the timing of all of this is also problematic because of the economy. But I'm willing to move forward with it on first reading tonight and get more information.
Councilwoman Williams?
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman Castellino.
And appreciate the commentary, but I disagree. If we're going to do O'Connor Field and it needs lighting, I think it should be done at the same time. I don't think we should piecemeal that. Parks and Recreation is something that's very important to our community. And when you look at the municipalities that our teams are playing against, their fields are in much better condition. O'Connor Park is heavily utilized by all of our departments, all of our recreation groups. And I think in order for us to be competitive, we need to provide our children an adequate field. I think it is very similar to the logic that you utilized when you said, if we're going to do 10 Rooney, then we should go ahead and do it all. We should include the windows. So I think it is the responsibility of us, in conjunction with the administration, to find ways to do the things that we need to get done, and not to just piecemeal different components. And if it means we have to make those hard decisions about spending money, we have to do exactly what our business administrator has said. They're hard decisions that we're going to have to make, and we have to weigh what is for the better of our community versus how it's going to serve our community. So, I'm supportive of us renovating these fields, making sure we have adequate lighting, You know, we need to provide recreational space for our families and for our children.
Council President?
Thank you, Councilwoman Williams. Councilman Rutherford.
So, Councilwoman Castellino brought up a very good point about drainage. We have flood issues all over town. Have we sought grant dollars from FEMA, Army Corps of Engineers, the state or Fed level to mitigate some of the flooding issues? That would take some of the burden off of our budget. You know, and this is that's an honest question.
Yeah.
FEMA basically reimburses for those types of issues that are caused by a storm. They're not, you know, something that's historically been there. They're not going to come in and provide monies unless, because of, unless it happens to be, for instance, upstream of a situation where it caused problems somewhere else. So, you know, that type of thing. So the answer is yes. When we've had storms, we've looked at mitigation costs as well as repair costs, and we've gotten monies over time from FEMA for that. Something like this, though, this is just a historic drainage issue. It's not the kind of thing that FEMA would step into.
So perhaps not FEMA, but and we had this conversation via email with a particular project, but perhaps FEMA is not the proper place to apply. But you know, it's my understanding that there are federal dollars out there for flood mitigation issues as a result of climate change. You know, everybody is seeing, you know, wetter and more powerful storms more frequently, and it's causing infrastructure trouble everywhere. So,
Question.
yeah, I think we should look at that, you know, for all of these spaces to see what we can take off of our budget and put onto someone else's.
There we go. That's
No
a
argument there.
great theory.
Believe you me, we're in touch with our legislatures on a weekly basis, if not daily, sometimes, and looking and we have. I got to tell you, the group that we have that does grant writing for us. In my 35-year career, I've never seen as successful a group and as hardworking and come up with really, really great ideas and places to get funds for us. Our grant, our success on grants has just been tremendous, and so we're constantly looking at that. And that's not to downplay what you're suggesting. We're in there with you, because obviously every dollar we can get from a grant, especially for something that we're going to have to spend ourselves anyway, is really $2, because ultimately we're going to pay for that. We're going to pay some kind of, you know, interest charges or whatever. If we can get grants for it, we're in a better situation.
Yeah, I agree. I think we should explore them. I've already given my public commentary around pursuing grants from the infrastructure bill. I feel like we missed major opportunity there. We've had other opportunities to receive donations that we've just not taken. So, you know, now the rubber's meeting the road. You know, inflation is here, higher interest rates are here, our budget has gone up. That stuff, you know, even small dollars, they matter. So I want to encourage us to put a renewed focus on getting every single penny we can.
I'll only suggest that I don't think it's accurate to say that we've missed the boat on grant opportunities. I mean, like as I said today, we just got notification today of a $3 million grant for the Valley Street project. Excuse me. And we just got notification, an oral. I'm not going to announce what it was, but another $500,000 from the state that for a project that's going to be that can be happening here in West Orange. I don't want to announce because until I get it in writing, I don't want to jinx it. But you know, we're constantly talking with our legislatures, federal as well as our state, and we're looking at every opportunity there is out there. So
Even the $920,000 that just came in from the Safe Routes to School grant.
Yep.
So that was to improve intersections at 21 different intersections, at our schools.
And excuse me, Council President, I
Yes.
just have one more comment to make, just to, because a lot of residents have been emailing us in support of the improvements at O'Connor Park, and I was disheartened to read about some of the conditions of the public school fields that we've always had a great partnership with, and I will be taking that up with the school district. I know our rec department goes out and overextends themselves with the lining of the fields and getting them ready. But I know time to time when the weather, there's a lot of rain, the upkeep, and so I was disheartened to hear those comments because they should not be in that much disarray, those fields. That's our partnership that we've had for years, and I know there's been change with administration on their end with the buildings and grounds. So let's hopefully see if we could tweak some of those issues and make sure the usage now is in a better condition for them. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman Castellino. And as the council liaison to the Board of Ed, can address that. I do want to support this bond, but I do want to take into consideration that there has been an outpouring of support from coaches and parents who actually are at the field and use the field. This will appropriate, if approved, this will appropriate the engineering and design work, survey, construction management. The plan, we don't have a plan. We have, or when we're designing the plan, I think the lighting, I'm sorry to disagree with my colleague, but I think the lighting is most important for this application. It says testing, remediation, all work, materials, equipment, labor, that would be necessary. What I would also like the plan to include is to look at parking, because there has been issues on the streets that surround O'Connor Park with parking. So just to be mindful of the residents that live there, and if there is a way to create parking, either using the school when the school is not in session for these games in the evening, if there is a way to create paths that go from the parking lots to the school to try to keep the cars off of the road. I would appreciate that. Thank you.
And I'm sorry, I have one more point
Yes,
of
please.
discussion, because, let me just explain my thought processes with you all. Being a sports parent, very involved in sports, and my son's playing ball up at O'Connor Park. There is, minimal lighting. Not to have games going into the wee hours. Don't forget, build it and they will come. We also have to be mindful of the residents that live in that area for the parking, because the overflow does go there. So when I say lighting being phased in, I mean, you have to be mindful too that, do you want ball games going on all night? The rec could cut the times on the games to a little bit earlier. So again, I've asked administration, I like to see them have discussions and hear from the neighborhood as well, of that park as well. So, again, a lot of big decisions to make. That's why we get paid the big bucks.
Speak for yourself.
Really?
Okay.
Just to clarify also, it's not that I'm not supportive of this or 2689. I think we need more information so that we can make a better decision. That's it, Council
Thank you.
President.
Ordinance 269122, bond ordinance providing for Phase 3 of the local unit's allocable share of the flood mitigation facilities project of the joint meeting of Essex and Union counties, buying in the Township of West Orange, appropriating $4,865,000, therefore, and authorizing the issuance of $4,865,000 bonds or notes to finance the cost thereof. Is there a motion to introduce on first reading?
So moved.
Second.
Councilwoman Castellino?
Yes.
Councilwoman Matute Brown?
Yes.
Councilman Rutherford?
Yes.
Councilwoman Williams?
Yes.
Council President McCartney?
Yes. And Ms. Rutherford, this goes to, you were talking before about the FEMA. So yes, it sounds like spending, but out of this close to $5 million bond, 90% will be refunded by FEMA, and 10% will be the township's share of that joint sewer commission.
Absolutely. Certainly want to give tremendous credit to the leadership at the joint meeting, both for their foresight and their work in making sure that we can do this affordably. So
This is a project that started in just after 2013 with the Hurricane Sandy, and you got to again thank them for being proactive, and this is I think the third leg of
Last
this
leg, right?
project. Yeah, the last
Hopefully.
leg, the most expensive part of the leg.
Yeah.
So this, again, we'll end up paying back about $480,000 of this, and the rest will then be, money will come from FEMA after the fact. So we have to bond the whole thing up front, we have to borrow the whole thing up front,
get it back.
and then it'll be paid off, though, 90% by FEMA, so.
Does that 90% include the interest on the bond?
I'll think about it. I think they are capitalizing the interest.
Oh.
And if not, it's gonna, obviously, it's an expense we'll have to get, and compared to the $4.5 million we're gonna get back from them, we certainly can absorb it. But I think some of the interest, may not be all of it, but I think some of the interest is capitalized.
Thank you.
So just to the public's sake, should we have another superstorm like Sandy, or a short but very powerful storm like Ida, this kind of work makes sure that we can still have plumbing in our houses, right? Like we can still flush the toilet,
That's important.
have clean water, and so even if we lose power, we won't be completely, we won't have to relocate. I mean that it certainly is a very vital and needed service.
Not to mention avoid an incredibly toxic spill
Right.
from
Right.
flood running through our facilities and contaminating the large areas of the community and the county.
Yeah.
So,
Next item is pending matters, new matters, council discussion.
Council President, may I?
Yes, sir.
Just, I apologize, I did not have a chance to send an email regarding this, but today I spent about an hour and a half at Harper's Cafe. And while I was there seated outside, there were 6 near-miss accidents. And when I say near-miss, there were others that were close calls. There were 6 near-miss accidents in an hour and a half time frame early this morning. We have to do something there. I'll reach out to our DPW director, who is, very responsive, super knowledgeable. But, stop signs, I don't know what else can be done there, but it is literally only a matter of time before we have an accident there. And because there are a tremendous amount of pedestrians there, God forbid if there is an accident and it runs up onto the curb or the sidewalk and someone else gets hurt that's walking that doesn't have the protection of a vehicle. So I would encourage us to do that expeditiously. I will send out an email. I'll certainly CC you on that, Mr. Gross, and Chief Abbott as well. And then Kling Street. That is a very difficult intersection to turn onto Main Street from. I think we need a crosswalk there. I don't know how expensive that would be. I don't know if I don't know what we can do there, but I would certainly be interested in working with the administration to get that done. We have people that are crossing in the middle of the street because there's really no clear marked crosswalk except down by Community House or all the way up by Washington. So a crosswalk there and some better lighting for the crosswalk, I think would be helpful. And I think actually both of those have been addressed in the past by pedestrian safety, although don't quote me on that. Thank you, Council
But
President.
that is a good point, and I don't know if that was addressed in the road diet also that was
Yeah.
presented with. Is that what you were going to say?
Pedestrian safety, yep.
Right. Councilwoman Castellino.
Yeah, to Councilman's point, so that, I know we had received last year that DOT grant, that some of
Councilwoman.
those concerns.
Oh, use the microphone.
Sorry. Last year, we received the DOT grant, so some of those concerns are getting addressed down in that area. Downtown Alliance also working with Mr. Lepore on reformatting the parking lot. That's another item that's also not on this list that we were supposed to have money for this year within that bond, so that's maybe another item. And poor Mr. Gross, I drive him crazy.
You're taking notes.
But again, I mean, the Alliance business owners in that Torrey Corner section, you know, that parking is important, and so is the issues that come with that parking lot. So that's on Mr. Lepore's to-do list. I don't know what that's going to equate in dollars for us, but he promises to, you know, look at it this summer. So we shall see.
Council,
Thank you.
do we,
Yes,
do we
Councilwoman.
have an update on the filing status of the Downtown West Orange Alliance? I know that was a communication that was sent to us
On the what?
on their tax filing.
Oh, they're all compliant.
Okay,
Yeah.
just wanted to put that on the record. since
Oh,
we
absolutely.
Received inquiries
Absolutely.
about their tax status.
Before we adjourn and go to the ABC Board, did you find your question on the IC?
I did not, so
Okay.
it's
You could
totally
always
fine.
send it in.
Thank you.
Mhm.
So I moved, if there's
Yep.
nothing more, I moved to adjourn the meeting
And enter into the ABC hearing?
and enter into ABC hearing.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The meeting is adjourned, and we are now in our ABC.
Good night, everybody.
All right, good night
Good night,
all.
everybody.
Happy
Good night.
4th.